Today's speaker is Mandee Widrick of ChargedUpMedia.com. She's the founder and CEO of ChargedUp Media. She's also the creator of Horse Family Magazine. Mandee is a social media consultant, a future author, and currently an active speaker in her local circuit. If you need any information about Mandee, please visit her at MandeeWidrick.com. To inquire about any future interviews or speaking engagements for Mandee, please visit her website as well. Thanks. On to the show. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I'm here with Mandee, super cool social media person, very good at what she does. And so we're going to get a lot of information about what she does. And just for some background, I'm on her Facebook page. I follow what she does. She also does a lot of video. So I watch a lot of her videos. And just her presentation, one, is super great. And then her branding as well. So those two things that I find to be very important for businesses, especially when trying to be online. And she is doing it right, man. She definitely got it going on. So I appreciate Mandee for coming down and spending some time with us. So how's it going, man, in NYC?
Good to be here.
And how did you get started? It seems like I saw you with the Horse magazine website, and then their Facebook, and then I saw your website, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're just all over the place doing a whole lot of stuff. So how did you get started in the first place?
Well, my social media kind of roots back to the Horse magazine. It was something I was actually printing a few years ago, and I decided to stop printing the magazine because it was getting expensive. People were starting to say that they were more interested in online advertising than they were in printed advertising, and at that rate, I really think the only magazines that are really going to make it right now are the ones that are the bigger magazines that already have been established, and startups are going to be harder to get out there because people are so all about everything online nowadays that I just think it's going to be difficult for magazine startups that are online. So I transitioned from the printed magazine that I did for a couple of years into a blog, and it wasn't Horse Family at the time. It's called Horse Family Magazine now, but it was actually formerly called Bit and Bridle, and I changed the name, put it online. The intent actually was to change the name to Horse Family and then print it. And then right about the time I started looking at the expenses and how much it was going to cost,
wow,
the work that was going to go into it, it was not a one-person job, and I just was not equipped to start a whole team of people to get this running. I just didn't have the financing for that kind of thing, and I didn't want a bunch of debt to start it out. So I decided to put it online, which actually is the best decision I think I've ever made. It was, in business, it was one of those things that I look back at it now and I look and I think, wow, it's a really good thing that I did it this way. And so it started really taking off online. People really started following it, and I started Horse Chat on Twitter, which is every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And people come on, and I have a different guest every week that comes in and just talks about their business or whatever they're involved with. And I have a bunch of horse people that come on and talk. And I have nearly 4,000 followers on Twitter and nearly 4,000 on the Facebook page. And about the time things started really taking off, people started coming to me and asking me for help with their social media, and that's when I realized that I had something I could actually make money off of. Because when I decided not to print the magazine, I couldn't figure out how I was going to monetize the online blog, because you can make some money from like advertising and whatnot on the website, but until you really get the traffic, there's really not, you can't charge a whole lot for that kind of thing.
Right.
You know. So I was kind of monetizing it a little bit, but it definitely wasn't something I could make a living off of right away. So that was when I decided to get into social media consulting. And people around the area, in my area, I live in upstate New York, people started coming to me and asking for help, saying, okay, how much do you want to charge to do this for us, to set up a Facebook page and to monitor these things for us? So that's kind of how the whole social media business and it developed into ChargedUp Media, which is my primary business now. And Horse Family is a big part of what I do, but ChargedUp Media is kind of now it's actually, this is interesting, it's kind of developing into social media for the horse industry. And I work with any kind of business, but with that kind of following within the horse industry,
huge.
why take advantage of that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Technical difficulties, bummer. The weird thing is, so I'm like when you're talking and then I try to respond, it for some reason it cuts off the audio. So I'll probably be lip syncing. So I'll be like, so I really won't be saying anything, but I'll say cool. I'll look like I'm saying cool. How old is Charged Up Media?
It'll be a year this April.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just gotta say, it is so hard to name a marketing business. It took me forever to come up with that name because it seemed everything really cool and creative that I came up with wasn't as cool and creative as I thought it was because somebody else had already came up with it. So,
right.
Making a business, it's an interesting project, but Charged Up Media, nobody else had it. It's all mine.
Good.
So I had fun with that, but it kind of reflects my passion for getting people excited and interested in what social media has to offer, because I want to get people all charged up, and excited about what's going on. So I felt like it was a very suitable name.
Yeah, I definitely can attest to when I watch your videos, I get super excited because you're like, oh yeah, just the energy and the vibrancy that you do have online is huge. So it definitely fits the term. So good job on picking that. Yeah.
Thanks.
What's a day like for you in business?
It really depends on what's going on. I mean, I work from home for the most part because with what I do, I mean, I can work from anywhere. So a lot of days I do work from home. Some days, I still live at home with my family, so some days it gets kind of noisy around here, and I just go out and I hit up a coffee shop, or I can go to, I've got some office space that I work out of at my church because I do their social media marketing as well. So it really depends on what day of the week it is. Tuesdays, I'm definitely not home. I'm working at the church doing their social media, and I'm doing my own business from there. Other days I have client meetings, so if I've got something locally, I'm running off to that. But when I don't have all the meetings, really it's just I wake up in the morning and grab my computer and I just go to work. I could probably use a little more structure than what I have. But sometimes, working from home, sometimes it's hard to establish that structure for a while in the beginning. And I know I've been at it for a while, so I should probably be better at it than I am. But it's one of those things when you're your own boss and nobody's saying you have to be to work by this time or else. Sometimes it's like, oh, I can do that later.
Right.
Procrastination is something that I am still working on and I've had to work on for sure. But I just grab my MacBook and get to work pretty much every day, and it's a very simple schedule. I'm busier some days than I am others, but that's pretty much what it entails for me.
Yeah, I tell you what, being a social media person, the blessing is you can use your MacBook anywhere as long as there's Wi-Fi. But then also you got your phone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so you can just bang it away there. Did you ever imagine doing something like this when you were in high school or college or growing up?
Well, I have an interesting background. First of all, I was homeschooled. So I was homeschooled from 2nd grade all the way up through 12th grade until I graduated. And then
wow.
I made the decision not to go to college. So I don't have college background either. So, but as far as this stuff, I never imagined myself doing this. I mean, who thought you could get paid for playing with the internet?
Right. Isn't that crazy?
I know when I first started playing around with online websites, it was mostly like MySpace in the beginning because that was the one that all my friends were on. And so I was like, oh, okay, my friends have MySpace, and if I want to talk to them, that's where I have to be. So I did it just because my friends were doing it. And then eventually everyone was kind of migrating over to Facebook. And so, it was just, oh, my friends are doing it, and they're not on MySpace, so I need to go where my friends are. But getting paid for this stuff, I remember the first few times people started offering me money to teach them how to do it. I was like, for real?
Yeah.
Wow. It was very nice because I kind of knew that I always wanted my own business, and that's where the magazine project came in. And I had worked various retail jobs, and some of them were better than others, but I didn't last very long at them. Not because I was doing a bad job or anything. It was just because I started out, and I think the longest time I ever stayed at a job was about a year, because after that I just was ready to move on to pastures. So that's pretty much kind of how that all unfolded. Is I was working part-time jobs, and I knew that I wasn't going to be happy in them long term, and so I started looking for other options. And when this came up, I was like, this could be fun.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because what's kind of came out of this whole thing is I have started doing video, and I've started speaking and doing all sorts of different things, which I have found that I really enjoy a lot. And several years ago, I mean, even just a few years ago, 3 years ago, if I was thinking that I was going to be somebody speaking in front of crowds of people and doing video marketing and all this stuff, I would have probably been like,
yeah,
no.
You're right.
Because I wasn't, I mean, even though the thought of it sounds cool, I wasn't really. Everybody thinks, a lot of people think, oh, it would be really cool to be that person on the other end of the camera. It would be really cool to have a job like that. But not a lot of people actually follow through and do it, which is the interesting thing. And as I started dabbling in it and people started asking me to speak, I wasn't going to say no, because I thought this could be a really cool opportunity for me.
Yeah.
And it really was. I remember the first time I spoke in front of a group of people, and the first gig that I had was probably in front of about 130 people, and it was at a homeschool.
Wow.
And it was loads of fun. And I said to them, I was like, I'm not a speaker. This is my first time. And I remember people coming up to me after, and this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. People came up to me and they're like, what do you mean you're not a speaker? You were awesome.
Yeah.
And that would keep me doing it, because that encouragement was like, oh man, I can do this. So now I do speak regularly, and I'm charging money for it, which is really cool. So that's kind of another business that, I mean, it's not a different business, but it's another project that kind of all ties into what I'm doing with ChargedUp Media and everything. So it's not just social media consulting. Now it kind of goes into all of these other avenues. Right.
So it seems like when you got started with the magazine, and then you transitioned over to helping other people, it seems like you didn't have to go out and search for clients. They just kind of came to your doorstep because you're so good at what you're doing. How does that work for you right now? Do you still, clients still come in, or do you have any type of client acquisition procedure, or you just raking in the big bucks?
Well, I do have clients that I am getting calls. I don't really have to pursue leads actively, but I could see myself making a lot more money than what I am now if I actually did kind of pursue it more than what I am.
Right.
But for me, that's going to be a process of me deciding. Just something I've been talking about these past couple of weeks is like, okay, I've got all this stuff that I'm doing, but what do I want to pursue the most? Do I want more coaching clients? Do I want more speaking gigs? What is it that I want the most? And then I need to go after it actively, and then I think they'll start coming in. I mean, the speaking gigs, I don't pursue those at all for the most part. I mean, sometimes I do, and I get new leads that way. But I pretty much just get random emails with people asking me to come in. And so last week, I caught up in my inbox, and I was like, I didn't have just one inquiry. I had 2 to follow up on, and I thought that I'd only had 1. So when I was going through my inbox, I was like, oh, I have 2 speaking gigs here. So that made me happy. So I don't really have to pursue the speaking at all. Those just pretty much roll in. But I am going to be pursuing it more, especially this summer. I've got some interns coming on, and that's one of the things I'm going to have them do. And that's going to be the beauty of not working alone anymore, is having those interns come in and help me generate, new leads from other places. So I'm going to have at least one of them pursuing more speaking gigs, because I do want to become a more active speaker. So, but I haven't really had to push a lot, because the clients have kind of been coming to me. So I haven't had to do a lot of work as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's good because you're really, really good. So it does make sense that they come to you, because you're really, really good at what you do, especially the video stuff. Now, how did you find the interns?
They found me too.
Wow.
Well, I guess I kind of have to tell the story of how this first unfolded, because it kind of all links back to some really cool stuff. last summer, I was really networking with a lot of people on Facebook, especially local people. I was searching for people that were local, and I was adding them. And as it turned out, I ended up adding somebody who works at a local radio station. And and then I kind of connected, and I found out where she worked, and I said, hey, is it okay if I come in and meet you and just kind of get a tour of the radio station and see what you guys do? Because I said, I'm just interested in that. I'm interested in media in general. I just really like to meet people that are local. She said, sure, come on in. So I went on in, I met her, and I met the manager, and we sat down and we talked for a long time. I mean, it must have been maybe like an hour and a half, just kind of telling them my story and figuring out what they were all about too, and it was a great time. By the time we got done, we ended up bartering radio advertising for some Facebook stuff that they needed done. So I got some radio ads.
Dang.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm all bartering.
Right.
So I had some radio ads run, and then I ended up, through the radio ads that were running that I didn't pay for,
Right.
I ended up getting a phone call from another news site who said, hey, we want to interview you and feature you on our website. So they called me up that day, we did the phone interview, and I actually got like a feature story on their news site. And I went in the next morning, and I checked my email, and I was like, whoa, where did all of these newsletter signups come from? Because I got notified that I had had a bunch of new email subscribers, and that was not normal for that kind of day. Where did like 30 people come from in one morning?
Right.
That did not happen.
Wow.
So I went in on the site, and they actually put like a big picture of me in the center of the website, right on the main page. And normally on this site, they just have like text headlines, but they actually had a picture right there that said like social media marketing on it. And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
It was actually through the article that a local girl found out about me, and she contacted me and said, hey, I'm interested in interning for you next summer. So I met up with her recently, and I really like her. She's interested in a lot of different stuff, radio, TV, social media, all of that. So I'm really excited. I think she's going to be great. And I ended up putting in for a few more interns through her school too. So I figured, you know what, if I'm gonna do the paperwork to get her, I'm just gonna go for a few more. Why not?
Right. Why not?
I think it's a great way to grow a business, because I'm not in the place where I can hire people, and I'm not going to pretend like I am. I'm not in the place where I'm going to bring on employees right now. And so for me to be able to offer, some training and some teaching to these other people that are technically they're my age. So for them to come in and learn about this stuff and get excited about it, and yet I still get help, and it's unpaid interns. I think it's a really good opportunity. It's win-win for both people involved.
Right. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Dang! Wow, this is cool, guys. I never really, knew how old you were, but man, congratulations. That's crazy.
Thanks.
Wow. So in this whole year, starting your business, was there a time where you felt like this is too tough, or I don't think it's gonna work?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
It's frustrating, but what I had to really learn is that sometimes when things get the most difficult is when you're the closest to breakthrough. And that was something I had to keep reminding myself, was that, okay, if something's getting really, really hard, I'm probably this close to accomplishing it. And if I give up now, what's going to happen to everything that I've worked so hard for?
Wow.
So,
that's deep. That's deep. I got goosebumps, man. I'm like, Dad, that's really good.
Yeah, well, I've seen it with other people too, other entrepreneurs, and I never wanted to be one of those statistics where it was like, I don't know, they say like, I don't know what the percentage is, but they've said that I think it's maybe 90% of small business startups fail, or maybe it's not 90. I might be wrong on that, so don't quote me, but
I'm sure it's pretty high.
Yeah, it is pretty high.
Get tough.
That is, a big part of it is like lack of funding, and the cool thing about the business that I'm in is that it didn't require a lot of startup capital up front. All I had to do was put in a lot of effort and hard work and structure things the way they needed to be, and I didn't have to put a lot of money up front, which was cool because I did not have that startup capital. One thing, if I could do something different, I would probably continue to work a part-time job while I started my business, but I went cold turkey on everything. I was like, I don't like my job. I'm just going to leave.
Yeah. Balance.
Then by the time yeah, by the time I got so wrapped up in all of my business stuff, I was like, I don't have time for a part-time job. I don't really think it'll fit in. And then there's always the thing of like, it depends on what kind of job you're working, but I could have ended up in a situation where there was like, I would have had to sign like a non-compete form or something, and I wouldn't have been able to keep clients. You know how that stuff works. If I wanted a decent job, a lot of times you can't have a business on the side if it's a good position. So I was like, do I really want to go to work and get like, you know, minimum wage, which in New York State might be like $8 an hour now. I don't even know if it's even that. And I just couldn't see myself working a part-time job, going back at least once I had started. But I should have at least kept something going for a while when I first started to start the business. And if I could do something differently, that would be it. But now at this point, I'm pretty busy with my business, and I don't see myself picking up a job. You know, if I need more money, then I just need to work harder at what I'm doing. I need to not freak out and panic and be like, I need to go get a job. I need to go get a job. You know? And that's what happens to a lot of people too. They don't have the security of a paycheck, and they freak out and run back to their job because they're like, what are we going to do if there's no money? But really, you know, if you kind of come to the end of yourself and you're like, I have to make this work or else, then I think that I think it'll work out. Maybe not always the way you expect, but usually in the end you can find some way of making it work. Sometimes you just have to restructure a bit and kind of rethink the whole idea, which I've had to do a few times. I started out in social media management, and I actually found that I preferred to do social media coaching instead, which was more of just teaching people, because the management, while it's definitely something that's really needed right now, for myself, I just prefer to train people and teach people rather than do everything for people.
Right.
So definitely have restructured a bit since I started my business, which has been interesting. And now I've introduced more speaking because I like that a lot. But it's, you know, there's definitely been some challenges and some times where I've just been like, I want to give up. Yeah. But yeah, so still working at it.
Yeah.
Glad.
What's the one thing that you enjoy the most out of everything that you do? What's the one business thing that you like?
Probably meeting people and connecting with people. I have made so many friends through social media that it's insane. I mean, just the other day, somebody asked me, one of my social media friends said, how do you meet all these people? Because I not only meet them online, I tend to meet a lot of them in person too, which is really cool, especially when it's local and I can find somebody local and I'm like, I have no idea who you are, but let's have coffee.
Right.
And I mean, I'm careful about some of that stuff to a certain extent. You don't just hook up with just anybody.
And if you do, just take your nunchucks or something.
So I think that's probably been my favorite part, is just the connecting with like-minded people. Because to be completely truthful, there are not a lot of people around here that are like me. There are not a lot of entrepreneurs in the area, at least not my age. Honestly, I can think of maybe one other person that I've gotten close with that's from this area, and he does graphic design, and we have really helped each other out a lot because we feel like we kind of have to stick together as entrepreneurs. But other than this particular friend, there's really not a lot of people around here. There just aren't. And so I've kind of had to use social media as a way to reach out to other people who are interested in, you know, share some common interests with me. And we can learn from each other too, which is really great. Like for example, just this past weekend, I had recorded a webinar for my group coaching, and I needed to put it up online, but for some reason the file wasn't working. And I've never had this problem before. My files have always worked, but it would not upload for anything. I could not get it to work. And if there's one thing that really gets me upset, it's tech problems.
Oh, man.
I can almost always fix them, but for some reason I could not figure out what was going on. And I had ended up spending like $70 trying to fix the software because I'm on Mac and it was only playable on a PC. And I was like, okay, maybe if I get the right software like Apple is telling me I need.
All right.
So I ended up spending like $70 on the whole ordeal. I got really frustrated. So I went into one of the Facebook groups. I don't know if you're in this one or not. It's the 24/7 online networking party.
No.
Okay, well.
I'll check it out.
I'll have to send you a link when we're done. I went in the group and I just started just kind of honestly ranting a little about my situation, and I whined a little. I was like, I'll be fine once this is resolved, but I need some help. So by the time we got done, one guy came on and he tried to help, and when it didn't work, he was like, okay, time for me to pass the buck over to this other guy, and he ended up helping me. We got the video uploaded, we got it fixed, but I was just so grateful, because without those connections, I don't know what I would have done. I would have probably just had to redone the whole webinar over, which wouldn't have been a huge issue, but I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because it was group training for my clients, and so I wanted that training up online, and so but I was just really grateful. And when I have problems like that and I run into things online, I usually have somebody I can go to for help, which is fantastic. We're a tight-knit group, and we're all really there for each other.
Right. You mentioned Facebook groups. For people that are just starting off in with their social media business, what kind of tips do you have for them in terms of either joining a Facebook group, a LinkedIn group, or following a particular hashtag where they can get their help, and then also just build with other professionals?
I honestly haven't used LinkedIn very much, so I don't have a lot to say on LinkedIn groups. I've used it a little bit, but I have generated most of my leads and built most of my relationships on either Facebook or Twitter. And I don't know which one I've ended up using more than the other. I'm on Facebook a lot, but I'm on Twitter a lot too. Twitter chats are really cool, where you do follow the one hashtag. There are some resources out there. I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's actually like a whole listing of chats that are available. And so I went through that one day, and I just kind of found some chats that I thought would kind of benefit me and I could learn from, or maybe I'd have something to offer to those people. And so I jumped in on some of those. I don't have so much time to do that as much anymore, but I do think that's a very good thing to do. And I still do jump in on them from time to time. And of course I have Horse Chat on Mondays, which I do. And I can tell you what, Horse Chat has built some pretty great relationships for me in the horse industry, because I'm able to go to different people and say, hey, do you want to be a guest on my chat?
Right.
That has built me some new relationships with people, for sure. And the participants that come in and talk to my featured guest every week, they've all got to know each other really well, and they're all supporting each other in business. Right. And now I've a Facebook group just for those people, not just for Horse Chat, but it's called Horse Industry Business Owners. And so now networking amongst each other. And when I first created that group back in, I believe it was November, I added, because you can add people to a group without their permission. Right. So I added for people that are watching and don't know how that works. I added like 30 people to that group, and within a matter of hours, everybody started adding their friends, and I had like 100 people in that group within a matter of like a few hours. So now it's slowed down. We have as many people joining, which is fine with me, because I think if it got too big, that it would be kind of hard for everybody to keep track of each other. But now I think it's up to, honestly, I'm not even sure. I know it's over 200. It might be nearing 300. I'm not exactly sure. But a lot of us network amongst each other. When I have a webinar coming up for the horse industry, it goes in that group. And it's been, I really like Facebook groups a lot, actually, because they've certainly built some great relationships for myself, and I can see with other people, because they're really, I mean, I don't know if this was the idea that Facebook had before they came up with the idea for groups, but whenever I feel like I need to learn something about a specific topic, I try to find a group of people that are really educated on that topic. So I know that I'm part of like a group called WordPress for Business. So if I have somebody that comes to me and says, hey, I need help setting up a WordPress blog, and I know that they're not really in a position to like hire me to do all this work, and that happens, I say, here's the group, go ask the question. There's a lot of people that are just like do-it-yourselfers, and they want to learn themselves anyways. So I just say, here's the group, ask the question. There's people in there that know exactly what you're talking about and can help you. There's Twitter groups, and there's I mean, I certainly could have used like a video marketing group over this past weekend. Video editing, I guess, is what I would have liked. I haven't found a group like that yet. Maybe I should create one.
yeah, there you go.
But when I need help, that's where I go, and at the same time, we all learn from each other, and that's where those relationships are really built. And I think that a lot of people have asked me, okay, what's the difference between fan pages and groups, and why should you have one over the other? And I don't think that it's really a matter of having one over the other. I think it's a matter of what is it that you want to learn, and who is it that you want to target. Because I feel like fan pages, while they have a lot to offer to clients, your customer base and potential clients, and really draw people in and generate business, they really should be all about relationships, but I feel like relationships go deeper in groups. For some reason, people just seem to communicate more on a personal level in a group setting than they do in a fan page setting. So I utilize both.
Good point.
On a regular basis.
Yeah, good point. How many groups are you a part of? A lot.
I'm not even sure. I can tell you that there's probably 3 that I interact with on a daily basis. Others I just check. I just check every few days. Some of them I have my notifications turned off for because they just get posted in all the time, and then I'm always thinking that I have comments or something, and I'm like, so and so just posted in the group. It's not for me, and I get disappointed.
Right.
So, but anyways, there's probably 2 or 3 that I really interact with on a daily basis, and those are primarily the 24/7 online networking party group and the horse industry business owners group that I created. Others I just go in when I need a question, or I have a question, or if I've got some time to go in and maybe help somebody and answer some questions. Like if I happen to be sitting there and I don't really have a whole lot that I'm working on, I'll just kind of browse through the groups and see if I can help somebody too. It just kind of depends on, honestly, what kind of mood I'm in.
Right. Right. So just what I'm hearing from you is an encouragement to new social media, professionals. Definitely jump on a hashtag, follow one, or maybe even start your own. And then also join a lot of groups and maybe even start your own. That helps build relationships, and then obviously the relationships will help expand the awareness of your brand and all that stuff. So good. Okay, good. I'll probably write that down on a blog post or something and give you credit, because that's good. Very good tip. Last question. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
If you had an opportunity to spend all of your work time on one project, what project or public figure would that be for you? This is more kind of like a fantasy kind of question, but it taps into a little bit about your interests. So if you had to spend just all of your time on this one client, who would that be, or what would that look like?
On one client or project?
Your fantasy project or something. Ideal project.
My ideal project, honestly, I love video a lot. And if I had the opportunity to do a lot more in video, and maybe not, I love social media, I really do. And I will probably continue doing it. But if I could build up my business to the place where I had other people running some of the stuff for me and doing more of the social media stuff for my clients, I could see myself doing a lot more in video. I could see more video, more speaking, and one thing I've been talking about a lot lately is writing a book. And the book idea is it's going to be really for younger entrepreneurs who are looking to possibly start a business or get out there and do something. One thing I'm really passionate about is educating people on the opportunities that are available to them. And I believe that there's a lot of people my age who graduate and take right off for college because everybody says it's the thing to do.
Right.
And they do it just because it's the thing to do. And not everybody does. Not everybody does. I mean, there are a lot of students out there who have a passion and a purpose for going to college, and they know what they're going for. But there's also many, in my experience, that I have met that are going and they're like, they feel like they have to do it because it's expected of them. And I want them to at least be aware of the opportunities that are out there. You know, it is possible to have your own business, and it is possible to do something that you really love and you really enjoy.
Right.
So my ultimate project would probably be coming out with this book on that topic and going on tour, book tour, and maybe even doing, I don't know how I would tie video into that, but I want to. So if I could pick 2 things to focus on, it would be the book and more video.
Wow.
So I talk about it a lot. I probably just need to work towards it a little bit harder because the book outline is done. I'm ready to get started.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I haven't actually written the book yet.
Oh,
So,
just having the outline is huge. Good.
well, I know what it's going to be about. I mean, I talked about writing a book for a long time, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to write. And so I finally decided on what it was going to be about because I have a few book projects in mind, but I think that's the one that I feel is really important because I just feel like a lot of young people get kind of trapped in the idea that college is something that has to be pursued no matter what if you want to become anything in life. And that's not true. I mean, college can do a ton for a person. I'm not arguing that at all, and I think that college is for a lot of people, but it's also not for a lot of people who are going. So,
Right.
that's just something I am very, very passionate about, and I do get asked a lot. They're like, people say to me, well, would you go to college now if presented with the opportunity? And you know what? The idea of learning more is appealing to me, but with everything that I'm doing, I don't feel like a college degree is necessary.
Yeah.
I didn't go to college for a day in my life, and I have accomplished more, and this isn't to sound conceited or anything, but I've accomplished more than people that are twice my age.
Yeah.
And people that have just kind of settled for less than what they should have settled for from the very beginning. So I think that my main purpose and all that I'm doing is just to inspire people and help them to find something that they truly love to do, no matter what that thing is. I'm not going to say, hey, you have to do social media because it's awesome.
Right.
It is awesome. But I'll never say you have to do something just because.
Right.
I think that if you really enjoy something and you really love it, then you can find a way to make money from it. I think that you have to just be really creative. I think that that's a big problem right now with this generation is that, and maybe not even just this generation, but with generations past, is that they didn't tap into their creativity at all. That's why they think it's not working. That's why stuff doesn't work, because they aren't thinking outside of the box.
Right.
So I think that's something that's just really important.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a great point to end off on. Can you tell everybody where they can find you, where they can connect with you, build relationships with you?
Absolutely. My ChargedUp Media site is just ChargedUpMedia.com. I do a lot more with Horse Family, so that's probably one that people should check out as well, and that's HorseFamilyMagazine.com. And you can pretty much find me anywhere on the web, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever. Just type my name into Google and see what happens.
Right.
I do that regularly. I just Google myself and see what comes up. And I a lot there. So.
Yeah, and that's helpful too, because you never know what people are saying. Yeah, super helpful.
Google alerts set up too, so if someone says something about me, I know it comes.
Right. Yeah.
But, Facebook and Twitter are probably the best places to connect with me.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for your time. Very inspiring, I gotta say, man. Just talking to you in person, online, is super cool because you have the same energy that you do, all the time in your text, like the content on your page, but then also on the video that you do put up. So I appreciate the time. I appreciate all the information and stuff, and I think a lot of people will definitely benefit from this interview. So thanks so much. I appreciate it. And we'll have to stay in touch. I'll see you in the Facebook group.
Absolutely. I'll make sure I send you an invite.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks.
Okay, appreciate it. Bye.